Hey guys, it's me, Rob Carson. Are you ready for another exciting adventure into the Rob Carson Show? I am.
It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Here I am. Glad to be here. And I'm glad you're there. The reaction to the last couple of shows have been tremendous. I want to thank Mr. Pete Santilli of Liberty One for helping out, getting the show on the air. He has been very, very helpful. And also Terry Littlepage, who put together this marvelous network. Also, a brand new social media site called Spreely.com, Spreely.com. It is basically saying, screw you to Facebook, Twitter, and Google. It's basically saying, you know what? If we can't have a true free expression of your political ideology, whether left or right, then screw you. Spreely.com. Become a member. Become a member. It's important. It's time to take a bite or take down the tech giants. They have abused their privilege. They made us all believe that freedom of expression existed for all of us. They created what are called publishers. Okay? Like Liberty One TV. They made us publishers. Terry Littlepage spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to build platforms and reach people. And they pulled the rug out from under them. Spreely.com. Much to get to. Much on the Bret Kavanaugh and the allegations by two women now. Both of them have no witnesses at all. No recollection of when the event happened or where it happened. But by God, it must have happened. And the media's reaction to it. Republican Party approval rating at an all-time high. Well, not an all-time high. Highest in 7 years. 45% of Americans have a favorable view of the GOP compared to just 36% 1 year ago. It's according to Gallup, by the way. The approval rating for Republicans is at the highest level since 2011, when 47% of Republicans had a positive view of the party. In comparison, the Democrat Party had a 44% approval rating, the same as last year. So you're thinking about, and I don't like saying it's going to be a blue wave, because blue is not the color of Democrats. Red is. Red is the color of socialism. Red is the color of the Democrat Party. But if you think there's going to be a Democrat wave, you're high. You're high. After the midterm elections on November of 2014, the GOP had an approval rating of 42%, 36% for Democrats. And why should the Democrat approval rating be that high? They are nothing but the party of negativity. They are the party of impeachment of Donald Trump. They are the party of raising taxes and opening the borders. Makes no sense whatsoever. Oh, you see these T-shirts up here? These are designs that I have on a site called tpublic, tepublic.com. Look up conservatives. These are my designs, and a friend of mine named Sam Cangellosi. I don't care that you're offended. Good guy with a gun. Make America bait again with a fish. That's popular. Uranium 1. Hillary in 20 never. Get that before November. Get Hillary in 20 never before November. And show people you will never vote for that wretched, awful woman ever again, and she shouldn't really run for office. This is a pretty interesting story. As campaigning for November's midterm elections ramps up, voters are split over the level of racial discussions on the campaign trail, but think those issues only come up in the first place to get votes. And this is what I've been saying for years. The Democrat Party does not want to fix the racial divide in this country. They want to make it bigger. They don't want to fix infrastructure in this country. They want to constantly harp on it as a way to create public sector jobs. They don't want to fix the racial rift in this country. They don't want to. Rasmussen survey, national television survey, and online. 71% of likely U.S. voters think most politicians raise racial issues to get reelected, not to address the real problems. Duh. Just 15% think they raise those issues because they want to address real problems. 14% are idiots, undecided. Bret Kavanaugh, his confirmation hearings were a debacle. They were populated by radicals who were hired to come in and disrupt the hearings. It was a zoo. It was a zoo. After the hearings, Dianne Feinstein came forward with a letter from a liberal academic with a George Soros-funded attorney. Her name is Christine Blasey Ford. 36-year-old allegation of some sort of a sexual assault in high school. She doesn't remember where it was. She doesn't remember the year. She doesn't remember how she got there. She doesn't know how she got home. She doesn't remember how many people were in the room. This should have ended. There is no credibility whatsoever with this scurrilous allegation. There is no proof following Bret Kavanaugh's graduation from high school and college that would show that he had a pattern of behavior in this fashion. But the left in this country will do anything at this point for political reasons to prevent him from getting on the Supreme Court. This is a sickening chapter in our history. This is a sickening chapter. For all of you who say you are feminists, you're part of the feminist movement. How is it that this woman, after 36 years, can come forward with these allegations? Dianne Feinstein can release them after Bret Kavanaugh has a chance to address them. And then she hides behind the skirt of her radical leftist George Soros-funded attorney. She's not a 15-year-old girl anymore. She's an adult. And if she's going to hurl these accusations, put your big girl panties on and face your accuser. It is an affront to the feminist movement. The feminist movement. Women were not only equal, they were the same as men. Women could have an overnight one-nighter with a man and walk away with no emotional connection whatsoever, just like men did. And now in 2018, 45, 50 years after the feminist movement, suddenly women need protection. They need to be protected by men. Unbelievable. It's insulting. It's insulting. Bret Kavanaugh did an interview with Martha McCallum on Fox News and, of course, denied the obvious charges that have no credibility whatsoever. Here it is.
Did you guys ever look at each other and say, I'm out.
Here we go.
Enough.
There you go.
This just isn't worth it.
I'm not going to let false accusations drive us out of this process. And, we're looking for a fair process where I can be heard and defend my integrity, my lifelong record of promoting dignity and equality for women.
He's got white privilege. He's a white guy.
Starting with the women who knew
Despicable.
me when I was 14 years old. I'm not going anywhere.
And you shouldn't go anywhere. You shouldn't go anywhere. You should be a Supreme Court justice. Dear God in heaven. Oh, did you miss it yesterday? There was a national walkout yesterday in support of Christine Blasey Ford. No, you didn't see it because it nobody attended it. Nobody did it. Nobody did it because nobody believes Christine Blasey Ford and those in Hollywood that would support her and create some sort of movement. Like Hollywood is going to create a movement. That's how self-important are you that you think you're going to be able to? Jamie Lee Curtis, Chelsea Handler, Samantha Bee, Alyssa Milano, more major Hollywood women who, by the way, all kept quiet as Harvey Weinstein raped his way through decades in Hollywood. Planned Parenthood and NARAL decided they would do a Bret Kavanaugh walkout Monday in solidarity with his accuser. We believe Dr. Blasey Ford and stand with her. Kavanaugh should be disqualified from the Supreme Court. The GOP must stop bullying her. Join us in solidarity by wearing black and walking out of work, home, school Monday at 1 o'clock. posting a photo with Believe Survivors. NARAL, of course, of a pro-abortion group. NARAL tweeted over the weekend to promote the walkout, and nobody did it. Nobody did it. Did you do it? Did you do the walkout? the big walkout. Wow. The violent, threatening, uncivil left went after Ted Cruz at a restaurant Monday night. 2 videos were posted on a website called Smash Racism DC. I'll get to that in a second. They show a large group of protesters chanting, "We believe survivors," in reference to sexual assault allegations against Supreme Court nominee Bret Kavanaugh. Senator Cruz and his wife were having dinner, and the violent mob did it. They did the same thing to our Secretary of Education. Here's some video of the event.
We believe survivors! We believe survivors! We believe survivors! We believe survivors! We believe survivors!
Bagel is way hotter than you.
Immature, collegiate, moronic, and dangerous.
We believe survivors! We believe survivors! We believe survivors!
There's the shrill, "Get the F out of the restaurant." I wish somebody, "Get your ass out of my restaurant. You do not belong here. This is private property. Get the hell out. Arrest the bastards."
Let my wife through. We believe survivors.
What bothers me the most is that these people were able to get so close to a United States Senator. These people were able to get so close to a United States Senator, and who knows what these people will do. Yeah, we got it, yeah. We believe survivors. We believe survivors. You don't even know if she's a survivor because she had no witnesses. She has no credibility. She doesn't know where it happened, what year it happened. How do you believe a survivor when you don't know they survived anything?
Survivors! We believe survivors!
Yeah, okay, we got it. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah.
We believe survivors!
Bye. Yeah, victory is ours. We chased a couple out of a restaurant having dinner. Oh, yeah. Woo, look what we did.
Premises. It's a private state.
Yeah, get out of here.
Ted Cruz and Bret Kavanaugh are best friends.
Vote no on Kavanaugh!
Vote no on Kavanaugh. Cancel Kavanaugh for women's rights, for rights of every marginalized community.
For every marginalized community. So women are a marginalized community, I guess. Okay, they see that even flies further in the face of feminism. Women are a marginalized. Really? That is an insult to women, you idiot. Smash Racism DC issued this message on Twitter. This is a message to Ted Cruz, Bret Kavanaugh, Donald Trump, and the rest of the, are you ready for this? Racist, sexist, transphobic, and homophobic right-wing scum. You are not safe. That's a threat. That is a threat to the president and to a senator and to a Supreme Court nominee. We will find you. We will expose you. We will take you from the peace you enjoy. We will take you from the peace you have taken from so many others, is what it said. More than 100 Yale law students on Capitol Hill Monday to protest President Trump's Supreme Court justice. Oh, boy. These are children, okay? These are children. I sent my son off to college this year, and as much as I love him and he's a young man, he is a young man. He is a young man. Don't get me wrong. But he is a 18-year-old guy. Does he have all the answers? No, he has very few of them. He's a really smart guy. Don't get me wrong. But generally, college students still are just children. Pretty much just children. Here's one of the protesters, and it's typical leftist gobbledygook Faculty lounge, mental masturbation. Here it is.
Every senator that does not try to
Have the audio.
confirmation hearing is an accomplice and is casting a vote of approval for the subjugation of women's bodies and our exploitation through rape. I know that there are many women in this room, not just me, who have been drunk as teenagers and have
You're not really a woman. I mean, you ovulate and everything, but you're really kind of a child.
been exploited and can't remember the details because that's how life works. And I know that people who were there who weren't assaulted maybe don't have as vivid of a memory of something which they were merely bystanders encouraging the exploitation and rape of women. And
Okay, she's saying anybody who supports Bret Kavanaugh supports the rape of women. That's really what she's saying. I'm sorry for the audio. I wish I had the video. I do not.
I want to say that Ben Sass, if he does not try to stop this, is an accomplice and for the rest of his career will be held accountable by people like me who have many years of voting.
Oh, shut up and get your asses to your classes. Get your asses to your classes. Put some years on your brain and your body before you sound off, you moron. Children repeat what they're told. Children repeat what they're told, and she's a child. Yeah, and I'm willing to say that. Be pissed at me. I don't care. I don't care. Democrat Senator Mazie Hirono of Hawaii making her a name for herself as the new face of the #resist movement, making extraordinary claims, leading what is essentially the Salem witch trials with regard to Bret Kavanaugh. No evidence whatsoever. No witnesses. Nothing. Here she is talking on MSNBC. Host Ellie Jackson asking her if she'd like to reconsider her stance on whether or not Kavanaugh deserves a presumption of innocence after having charges of sexual assault made against him. She said, no, he doesn't. That is an affront to justice. Every tenet of justice in the history of mankind, particularly of the United States of America. But she, for political reasons, is willing to flush that all down the toilet. Here is the nutbag, Democrat Senator Mazie Hirono of Hawaii.
And all the enlightened men that I referred to are watching. They're seeing how we're handling this, and they know this is totally put up and set up job to railroad this nominee.
No, it's a total setup job to take down a conservative nominee for the Supreme Court.
Through without even all of the documents that we normally have at our disposal to review regard to this nominee, as well as a basic background check.
He's had 6 FBI background checks. Thank you. Mazie. He's had 6 FBI background checks, and let's just say they are the investigatory equivalent of a colonoscopy.
They don't want to know what the facts are. So when they start saying about, we want to get to the truth.
I want to know what the facts are. You don't have any, though. That's the problem. You have no facts. They're saying, well, they just want to make this into he said, she said. That's all it is. That's all it can be. She has no witnesses. She has no documentation. She has no evidence. It is he said, she said, and she just happens to be a leftist who's donated to over 60 liberal causes, has supported candidates like Hillary Clinton, opened her checkbook to all of these, and is sponsored by, and her lawyer fees paid for by George Soros.
Senator, I'd like to ask you to clarify something that you said roughly 24 hours ago over with Jake Tapper. He asked you, do you believe that Bret Kavanaugh should deserve or does deserve the same presumption of innocence? And your response was that you put his denial in the context of everything you know about him in terms of how he approaches his cases. I'm sure you're aware that
how does he approach his cases?
In conservative circles, there is some outrage, some anger at your comment. It's being interpreted as because this is a conservative judge, you've already sort of made your decision about him as it relates to these accusations. Can you clarify what you meant? Do you believe Judge Kavanaugh does deserve a presumption of innocence or not?
Look, we're not in a court of law. We're actually in a court of credibility at this point. And without having the FBI report or some semblance of trying to get corroboration, we are left with the credibility of the 2 witnesses. And I said that
there's no credibility for either witness.
Credibility is already questionable in my mind because, one, he misstates cases, he misapplies
Okay,
cases.
give me an example. He misapplies what?
And as I said...
What was that word? Hold on.
witnesses. And I said that his credibility is already questionable in my mind because, one, he misstates cases, he misapplies cases, and as I said at his hearing, we cannot have
What a bunch of gobbledygook. What a bunch of gobbledygook.
Somebody on the Supreme Court who does that, who doesn't even get the basics of the law.
He interprets the Constitution, you butthead.
Senator, very quickly before I let you go, do you think there's another shoe to drop? Do you believe that there are any more accusers who may come forward?
Accusers? She's got her mind made up, right?
With allegations based on what you are knowing.
They're the accusers.
And hearing behind closed doors.
Oh, Lord.
Whether someone else comes forward or not, we've certainly created an environment which makes it awfully hard for anybody to come forward, which is why women don't come forward. Because Republicans, basically as a group, they are so afraid that women just sit around making these things up. Yeah. You know what? That is not what happens. And they don't want to give this person at least the chance at an investigation, which I find totally appalling and unacceptable.
Senator.
Yeah, okay. It's he said, she said. There's no evidence. I'm not going to say it anymore. If you don't get it, you are freaking stupid. If you don't get it, you are friggin' stupid. Honestly, I don't even know what to say. Some people are actually showing a modicum of common sense. Even Cheryl Gay Stolberg of the New York Times. This is interesting because it looks like this may be beginning to backfire. We just saw that the Republican approval numbers are high. Maybe common sense, which for years I have said is no longer common in this country. Common sense is not common anymore. She mentioned that Republicans are beginning to say, you know what? I'm tired of this crap. I'm tired of scurrilous allegations being used to take down a good and decent person without a modicum of evidence.
Take place on Thursday?
Well, I think, we'll have to see. But right now, Republicans are telling us that they're planning on proceeding with the hearing as planned. They're kind of circling the wagons around Judge Kavanaugh. You saw President Trump come out today and say he stands by him. He's with him all the way. We're told Senator Mitch McConnell is going to make a full-throated endorsement of Judge Kavanaugh when he takes the Senate floor this afternoon. We're already seeing statements from people like Orrin Hatch and Tom Cotton, both Republican senators, saying, let's go ahead with the hearing and go ahead with the vote. And they're attacking Democrats as running a smear campaign.
Because they are. The letter from Christine Blasey Ford was given to Dianne Feinstein, delivered, I guess, by Pony Express. It's a letter. She got a letter. Who the hell sends letters anymore, right? The letter that she got. Dianne Feinstein sat on it. Not a pretty picture. For a couple of months, and then after the Supreme Court hearings, the chaotic circus-like Supreme Court hearings, she releases the letter when he cannot rebuff the accusation in public, in Congress. He has to do it on Fox News.
And I think, this is actually galvanizing conservatives, believe it or not. Conservatives are telling me that they are more than ever behind Judge Kavanaugh, that they feel that he's being unfairly attacked. And as you know, we're in the middle of a midterm election season. So this is apparently riling up the conservative base, just as the stories from these women are energizing Democrats, especially Democratic women.
Well, if Democrat women are energized this, it's because they are they're members of the jury in the Salem witch trials. And they've already had their minds made up, and they are blinded by politics, not by evidence. Ben Shapiro, and I made an accusation yesterday to make my point. I lived in Washington, D.C. for a dozen years. Sometime in that, my tenure working in Washington, D.C., I said that Nancy Pelosi sexually molested me in a bathroom at a steakhouse somewhere in Washington, D.C. I don't know where the steakhouse was. I don't know how I got there. I don't know how I got home. I don't remember who was there. I don't remember if there was anybody in the bathroom. I think there were 2 people in there, maybe 4. Since then, they've been interviewed by the media, and each one of them say they deny any knowledge that it ever happened. So Nancy Pelosi should be removed from Congress. Here's Ben Shapiro with his analogy after the insane Christine Gillibrand going off on the whole Kavanaugh experience, of course, supporting the victim. But here is Ben Shapiro's analogy, which, of course, because it's Ben Shapiro, it's brilliant. You know.
Who is not asking the FBI to investigate these claims? The White House.
Yes.
Dr. Kavanaugh, Judge Kavanaugh has not asked to have the FBI review these claims. Is that the reaction of an innocent person? It is not.
Imagine that you're Bret Kavanaugh for just a second, and imagine you're innocent for just a second. A woman comes forward and accuses you of attempting to rape her nearly 40 years ago. Do you call for an FBI investigation of yourself? Senator Gillibrand, let's say I accuse you, here and now, of eating human babies. You know, human babies. Small, cute, adorable. They're cute. They're cuddly. I accuse you.
No, they're not for eating babies, but they are certainly for killing them.
Boiling them, cutting them up, ingesting them along with your Eggs Benedict each morning.
Yes.
Do you deny it? That's because you don't care about the truth. You say I'm lying? Well, tell it to the FBI. Ask the FBI to investigate.
Nice.
Because if you don't, well, come on, that's not how an innocent person would act, is it? You want an FBI investigation. The real agenda here obviously has nothing to do with whether Bret Kavanaugh actually attempted to sexually assault a girl 36 years ago. It has everything to do with painting a picture of evil Republican sexists who don't care about women who are sexually abused.
Yes, and we want to put old people out on the street, and we want to starve children.
Senator Mazie Hirono of Hawaii simply says that men should shut up and believe the accuser.
Guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country, and I just want to say...
And she just wants to say, shut up. That's what she said. She wants everybody to shut up. So, you know, if you want to look at the dearth of evidence, if you want to look at the eyewitness accounts, then I can accuse anyone of anything in the past. I can accuse anyone of anything in the past. And I should deserve a hearing. I should deserve a hearing, right? The seriousness of the charges outweighs the evidence. Honestly, I got to tell you, just when you think that the Democrat Party could sink lower, they do it again. They go lower. How's it possible? How is it possible? Oh, there's more. There is more. I do want to tell you about Dot's Pretzels, though. Dot's Pretzels are a gift from God. These are pretzels made in North Dakota, now in Olathe, Kansas, near Kansas City. They are addictive. They are incredible. They are a little salty, not too salty. They're buttery and oniony and garlicky, and they are absolutely amazing. And if you have them in your house, you will want them every day. And I'm not kidding. Normally, you eat a pretzel. What are the profound tastes involved in a pretzel? Bread and salt. That's it. Bread, hard bread and salt. That's the flavor of pretzel. Not with Dot's Pretzels. These are ridiculous pretzels. DotsPretzels.com. Order them online. Get a bunch of big bags. Get several bags, guys. Don't just order one. Okay. I'll just mention it's not cost effective to sell you a bag of pretzels, but buy 6 or 8 bags. Serious. Snack bags, the big bags. Oh my gosh. Had some last night, and I just got to tell you, they're amazing. Everybody I talk to, they go, oh my gosh, these are fantastic. DotsPretzels.com. Mike Pence had something to say about the Democrats and how they've conducted themselves during the Kavanaugh process. Mike Pence is a good and decent man. I'm sure somebody could step forward and say that at some point he sexually molested them without any witnesses or a correct year or date or place. But here is Mike Pence, the Value Voters Summit.
At every level. In fact, in the last year and a half, President Trump set a record for the most Court of Appeals judges confirmed in the first 2 years of any administration in American history.
That's pretty good.
And
cool.
They are conservatives all.
Good. Good to compare here.
These men and women are strong, principled conservatives. Just like our newest justice on the Supreme Court, Justice Neil Gorsuch, and just like President Trump's latest nominee to the Supreme Court of the United States, Judge Bret Kavanaugh.
Come on, yeah.
Judge Bret Kavanaugh is a man of integrity, with impeccable credentials and a proven judicial philosophy. On the District of Columbia Court of Appeals, he wrote more than 300 opinions that reflect a strong record of support for limited government, religious liberty, and our Second Amendment. He's a conservative who will interpret the Constitution as written.
Doesn't he look like Race Bannon from Johnny Quest? I mean, perfect. I mean, come on.
And his record and career deserves the respect.
But he's a white guy. He has privilege.
Every member of the United States Senate. But honestly, the way some Democrats have conducted themselves during this process is a disgrace.
Yes.
And a disservice to the Senate and the American people.
And the judicial process and the Constitution.
That being said, the President and I are confident that Senate Republicans will manage this confirmation properly with the utmost respect for all concerned. And I believe that Judge Bret Kavanaugh will soon be Justice Bret Kavanaugh and take his seat on the Supreme Court of the United States.
And he should. And he should. Merrick Garland did not get on the Supreme Court. His nomination was delayed. Well, and that's fair. Merrick Garland's character was not assassinated by people coming forward with allegations from high school. Yale professor Ely Mastal suggested Bret Kavanaugh is a repeat sexual offender. Claims that apparently there were professors warned women about him. Now, there's no evidence. There are no women coming forward and saying this, that they warned anybody of the professors or any of the students. Nobody has come forward, and they've exhaustively researched this. They're finding none of this. But Ely Mastal, of course, is bringing her torch to the burning of Bret Kavanaugh.
Investigation. Who has that information? I, as a prosecutor, try cases with sexual assault, abuse. You have something in this case that you never have. You have an eyewitness.
No, you don't.
It's not he said, she said. There is a man who a survivor says was in the room. The Senate right now.
Who refuses to testify.
But that's not his choice. The Senate has the power right now.
They don't want to.
Because they don't want the truth. The Senate, we have to understand that Democrats, I think, are sometimes falling for this. The Senate Republicans.
What? Who is that? That's Ely Mastal?
Desperately want to make this he said, she said, because they are confident that their base and the 53% of the white women who already voted for Donald Trump, they are confident that if you put him versus her in a one-on-one situation, their people will say,
she's lying.
Tarzan, more truth than Jane, right?
What an idiotic analogy. What an idiotic analysis. These people get paid for this crap. Are you out of your mind? If it's he said, she said, big girl panties. Big girl panties. If you're going to face him, he's going to face you. And he's going to fight back. He said, she said. Of course it should be. He said, she said. Because she doesn't have any evidence.
Just talking rib. That's what they think their base will say.
Brilliant.
And it's not like that. It's not
really
just,
funny.
And it's not just about Mark Judge, who absolutely should be subpoenaed. Mark Judge is the friend that...
Who says that it didn't happen. He said that it didn't happen. He didn't even recall being there.
Kavanaugh's entire credibility should be impeached. Kavanaugh has not been truthful about what he knows about sexual harassment that happened during when he was clerking for his mentor, Alex Kaczynski. His answers have been untruthful about that. Bret Kavanaugh has not been truthful about what Yale knows about him. There's this whole story going on about how Yale Law School, professors at Yale Law School were warning...
Okay, hold on.
untruthful about that. Bret Kavanaugh has not been truthful about what Yale knows about him. There's this whole story going on.
There's this whole story going, which is a rumor, which is gossip. It's not a whole story going on. It's not being reported by anybody, you giant fat turd.
About how Yale Law School, professors at Yale Law School.
Yeah, I called him a giant fat turd, whatever.
Warned a student. There are two judges you should avoid. Alex Kaczynski, the confirmed sexual harasser, and Bret Kavanaugh. Why should we avoid Bret Kavanaugh? Yale won't say.
Where's the story? Where's the evidence? Where is the evidence? Where is the story? It's not been published. It is a rumor that you've created out of whole cloth, that you, in your circle fest of friends, liberal academics, you are making this up. There's not a story going around. There's a rumor going around. There's some gossip going around. No major media is reporting on this yet. This man is acting like there's some sort of credibility to a rumor.
Yale law professor says that she was feeding clerks to Kavanaugh who had a certain look, who looked like models. His entire credibility about his own recollection of sexual harassment is off. That's not he said, she said. That is an investigation into the truth that the Senate Judiciary Committee refuses to do.
Okay. Show me the evidence. Show me the evidence. Hold on. Column by Heather McDonald, New York Post. Hold on. Kavanaugh has had an unblemished record of treating women with respect. He was the first judge in D.C. Circuit to have an all-female class of clerks. Over the course of 12 years on the federal bench, most of his clerks have been women, obviously because he wanted a piece of ass. No, not really. Working for a judge is an intense experience that includes late nights, editing draft opinions, an environment which invites erotic complications. Yet, Kavanaugh's female clerks have been unanimous in testifying to his character. This is a piece that Heather McDonald wrote. Drive to destroy Kavanaugh is the worst of feminism. It's an affront to feminism. The sexual revolution declared that the traditional restraints on the male libido, norms of male chivalry and gentlemanliness, and the female modesty and prudence were patriarchal and oppressive. Men should stop protecting women, putting them on pedestals. Males and females were assumed to desire easy sex with equal fervor and to be able to walk away from a one-night stand with equal complacency. Chaperones were relegated to the relic pile. Starting in the 1970s, affluent parents were absented themselves from their teenagers' parties, leaving the house liquor cabinet unattended. Popular culture became hypersexualized. The results were not pretty. The male libido, free to act as boorishly as it wanted. Females getting drunk to reduce their innate sexual inhibitions, unprotected by any default assumptions against casual premarital sex. Whether a 17-year-old Bret Kavanaugh took advantage of this putative sexual liberation, many other teenagers have, and in doing so merely followed the new script for sexual relations. Those derided Victorian values of chivalric paternalism are now being re-imported covertly on college campuses. The hashtag Me movement is going further, turning a drunken pat on the butt into a suburban kitchen, in a suburban kitchen, to a criminal offense, and a squeeze under the knee under a dinner table is basically grounds for banishment. Joy Behar on The View complained that white men on the Senate Judiciary Committee were not protecting women. One might have thought that the committee's role was to protect the constitutional balance of power. It is feminist narcissism to put flimsy accusations of teenage impropriety ahead of a lifetime of achievement in the law. The priorities look like a revenge attack on a civilization deemed too male. And this is all a bit about the attack on masculinity. And now all these brave warriors for feminism are willing to say that this woman is a victim, and that this woman should be protected by men around her. Wow. Michael Avenatti is the lawyer for, what's her name? Brandy. Stormy Daniels, porn star Stormy Daniels. He says that he has another accuser. This accuser basically says that Bret Kavanaugh had rape trains, and This guy is doing everything he can to be relevant. That's it. I mean, he's doing everything he can. The more bombastic, the better. Stormy Daniels wrote a book. It was a complete and utter failure. Nobody cares. Nobody believes him. This guy is doing everything to play his 15 minutes of fame. Here he is talking about the new allegations, the new accuser with no evidence whatsoever.
Good to see you, Rachel.
So you said online that you are representing a woman with,
of course, talking to Rachel Madcow,
credible information regarding Judge Kavanaugh and Mark Judge.
Judge, the witness that was supposedly in the room when Judge Kavanaugh assaulted what's her name?
What is the nature of the information that she has about Judge Kavanaugh and his high school classmate?
Well, Rachel, I'm representing one client who
Christine Blasey Ford, geez.
I can describe as a witness and victim, as well as additional corroborating witnesses to what she is going to allege publicly within the next 48 hours.
Can we be any more vague? I'm not sure.
As it relates to her particular allegations, we're not going to provide additional information beyond that which is contained within the emails that I exchanged with the Senate Judiciary Committee. But let me say this. This woman...
This guy is a scumbag lawyer. He is a scumbag lawyer.
She does surface, will be found to be 100% credible by the American public.
Really?
I would not be representing her if I did not believe her. And if
you represented Stormy Daniels. I mean, enough said, right?
Anyone has been paying attention over the last 6 to 7 months, they know that I do not traffic in nonsense or rumor.
That's hilarious.
I utilize facts and evidence, and this woman will prove to be credible, and she is believable, and we are hopeful that the committee will launch an FBI investigation forthwith.
The FBI will not launch an investigation.
We have also asked that she be permitted to take a polygraph examination.
Polygraphs are bull crap.
Agreed to do, provided that Bret Kavanaugh does the same. And we have yet to hear back from the committee on a host of issues that I raised over 10 hours ago.
You've described representing her, but also other people in this same matter. The other people who you're representing, other than your client, who I should mention you are not naming at this point, are they people who are witnesses to the behavior that she is going to describe? Or is this all one? Are the people that you're representing here, is this all about one specific allegation?
No, it's not about one specific allegations. It's a series of allegations. This is a pattern of behavior, Rachel, that took place across many months and many years. And I will say this. We have demanded that Mark Judge...
let's move forward.
Your client already, will you expect that there will be a law enforcement element to this if this alleged behavior is as serious as you're suggesting?
I think, Rachel, there very well be or may be a criminal complaint made relating to this conduct. We don't believe a statute of limitations would apply to it, and we may very well pursue criminal charges relating to the perpetrator.
36 years ago, if it did happen 36 years ago, of course the statute of limitations would play.
At issue relating to what my client alleges.
Go back to doing your ads at 3 a.m. looking for people who have been harmed by, whatever. You scumbag lawyer. Here he is talking with Chris Cuomo.
These years that are in question, you were a virgin.
That's correct.
So the idea of you having a client or clients who could say otherwise, Kavanaugh says, never had sex in high school.
I was a virgin too. Yeah, hard to admit.
Never had sex afterwards.
Not really. I'm glad I didn't.
Drank, but basically...
drinking in high school?
As a senior, he said, because the legal drinking age was 18. May have had a few too many, but never forgot anything. Never drank to excess so that I blacked out. Never did anything like what anyone is saying.
Chris, I just think it's absolutely unbelievable, and I think the American people are smart.
No, actually, there are kids who don't have sex in high school, Michael. Maybe in the circles that you travel in, that's common, but there are a lot of good and decent kids who don't. They just don't.
Harder than this. You cannot reconcile the individual in the Fox News interview with the individual who wrote what he wrote in his yearbook.
In his yearbook, what he wrote in his yearbook. This is evidence against somebody. What somebody wrote in their high school yearbook. How we have descended, dear God in heaven.
Kavanaugh says,
reconcile the individual in the Fox News interview with the individual who wrote what he wrote in his yearbook. You cannot reconcile the individual on Fox News with the individual that was joined at the hip with Mark Judge throughout the years at issue. You just can't. You cannot reconcile those two. And I don't believe that America is going to believe what Bret Kavanaugh...
I don't think America believes you doofus.
...just stated on Fox News. And I also want to say this. So what exactly is he saying? Is he saying that he did not have sexual intercourse? And are we going to get into a definition?
That's the word he used.
Exactly. Well, exactly. I mean, are we going to get into a definition of sexual intercourse? I mean, does that mean that he performed oral sex or had oral sex performed on him? Does that mean any host of any other sexual activities?
Is anybody alleging any of this?
Occurred? Or does he want America to believe that the only thing that he did until well into his college years was effectively kiss or French kiss a woman? Is that what he wants America to believe?
Well,
because I don't believe it.
Well, what if this?
Well, you know, I don't give a rat's ass if you believe it. I don't give a rat's ass if you believe it. Doesn't matter what you believe, sir. You know, I had friends, and I said, you know, I tell my kids I don't want them to have sex in high school. I think it's a massive responsibility. It's not really worth it. And they would laugh at me like, you seriously don't think your kids are not going to have sex? Yeah, I don't. I don't think that it is necessary. I don't think it's necessary. I don't. You know, put it back in your pants, kids. Let's see. I have Jeffrey Toobin responded to this doofus. Here is Jeffrey Toobin on CNN actually refuting what Michael Avenatti had to say.
Can I also just say that Michael Avenatti's behavior so far in this area has been really irresponsible.
Thank you.
I mean, you know, it is one thing. The New Yorker magazine, you know, did a very carefully on-the-record story with one accuser. The Washington Post on-the-record accusation from Ms. Ford. For Michael Avenatti to just simply throw out there that there are these unnamed people who are going to make these allegations, that is really not how the process should work. It is not fair.
And it's irresponsible.
To Bret Kavanaugh. It is not fair to anyone involved. It is publicity seeking of the worst kind.
Thank you.
And unless, you know, he can come. I mean, if he has a person to attach to that, that's one thing. Yeah. But simply to just throw this garbage out there with no name is really, I think, awful.
It's not only awful; it's irresponsible. It's irresponsible. It's unprofessional. But he's a media hoa. There, I said it. Got some things coming up here I want to share before the end of the show if we get time to do all of this. Mike Pompeo scolding Jim Acosta for the ludicrous question about removing Trump using the 25th Amendment. This was according to a story last week, I should say, about Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein in a meeting with other cabinet members saying that we should invoke the 25th Amendment with regard to Donald Trump, which basically questions his mental fitness in office, and it didn't really happen, or it might have happened, or it might have been a joke. We don't know. We don't know. So I'll get to that in just 1 second. Oh, Obama goes after fear-mongering. Going to get that. Oh, a new book out called Not My Idea, a book about whiteness on the way. Oh, and the latest college, or I should say Halloween costume that is offensive. So offensive that it needs to be removed from the web. So all of that on the way. Check out the politically incorrect swag line, Hillary in 20 Never. tpublic.conservatees. It would be great if you would order something, put it on a t-shirt, put it on a mug, put it on a mouse pad, on a phone cover, on a laptop case, whatever. I don't care that you're confused. Good guy with a gun. Hillary in 20 Never, of course. Make America Bait Again. All of those. And about 80 designs altogether, actually. teepublic.com. Look for conservatees. Here's Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State, just a kick-ass guy, going after Jim Acosta for bringing up this supposed meeting where the cabinet members of the president's cabinet brought up the 25th Amendment to remove him from office.
But I'll add, no discussion with me about the 25th Amendment anywhere either. So you can now report that there are two senior leaders that have said that your question was ludicrous. Second point with respect to North Korea. Look, we went.
I may ask if it's so ludicrous, and I apologize for not remembering that you were the CIA director. Obviously, you were the CIA director. If it's so ludicrous, why did the Deputy Attorney General have discussions about it behind the scenes?
I find the question ludicrous. I've been involved. I've been at the center of this administration, along with lots of other folks, from virtually day one. I think it was actually day 3 or 4. I've never heard anyone talk about it, whisper about it, joke about it.
But it's the wet dream of Democrats. If they can't impeach Donald Trump, they can remove him for mental unfitness, which is third world thinking.
Anyway, I've been in a lot of meetings with a lot of senior officials from this government. Your question on North Korea, remember the history. We went at this the other.
Okay, there you go. So that's his thoughts on the 25th Amendment and removal of Trump from office, using it, which is, of course, what Maxine Waters would like to see, although the same could be said for her mental fitness. Barack Obama was rallying Democrats for Pennsylvania on, I guess, Friday night. And he said that fear-mongering doesn't work, and that the Republicans are using fear-mongering, and his entire speech is about fear-mongering. Check it out, guys.
They're trying to scare the heck out of you. When we take our basic rights for granted, then other voices fill the void.
This guy is so passive-aggressive.
And they promise to fight for the little guy.
Little guy. They promise to fight for the little guy.
Even as they are helping the wealthiest.
Helping the wealthiest. The wealthiest got major help from you, pumping money from the Fed into the stock market to prop up the markets and make your economy feeble at best.
And the most powerful. And they promise that they're going to take on corruption.
They're going to take on corruption.
Washington. And then they just plunder.
What I worry about, Rachel, is that after this election, this president's going to wholesale fire people.
I think this is more fear-mongering.
If we don't have one or both houses of Congress...
both houses. Whew. I don't even know where to go.
...in place...
both houses in place?
He will be even more uncontrollable and unaccountable.
And they start undermining our institutions of democracy, just so it can entrench their power further. And they'll unwind our campaign finance laws.
Let's talk about the swamp, okay? We won't talk about entrenched power.
So that billionaires have even more influence. And they'll make it even harder for young people to vote and minorities to vote and the poor to vote.
He will fire people in the White House. He will fire people in his administration.
Wow. Will he murder people like you guys did?
He thinks are crossing him.
Yeah, I said it.
Questioning him, undermining him.
And they'll subsidize corporate polluters. And they'll give $1.5 trillion in tax cuts to folks like me who don't need them. And they'll pretend that they're paying for them, but they're not.
No.
And they know that eventually, to pay for
it, he said eventually,
they'll be able to argue that we should cut help for working families.
The president is close to being uncontrollable. There are people still in there.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about your husband? He's pretty uncontrollable at times.
Who, by their own admission,
ask Kitty intern,
are trying to hold on.
Cut Medicare. You know what? None of that is conservative. Don't let them fool you. It's not normal. It's not. It's radical what they're doing.
Oh, wow. He's calling us radical. That's fantastic. His political career started in the living room of a Weather Underground terrorist named Bill Ayers.
They've got a vision that says that all they want to do is protect their power, even if it hurts the country.
Now, by the way, we just spent the last minute and a half, 2 minutes, him fear-mongering, right? Right? I think we can all agree it was fear-mongering.
Leave people with disabilities and seniors in nursing homes potentially out in the cold.
Well, we just want to put them out in the cold. My mom's a senior citizen. I don't want her put out in the cold, believe it or not. I know it's crazy.
The good news is in a healthy democracy, that kind of fear-mongering doesn't work.
Okay, so you just spent the entire speech fear-mongering, and then you say that fear-mongering doesn't work, but you obviously used it because it does. Oh, my Lord in heaven. What a... Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Oh, here we go. What would you do if you went to the library and they were having a read with an author, a children's author, who's written a new book called Not My Idea, a book about whiteness? Anastasia Higginbotham has written this book. Apparently, NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick is pictured in her new book, and she created a cardboard cutout of him in preparation for her readings. When she goes out to libraries, she will read the book, and she will have the cutout of Mr. Kaepernick. Here's a little bit about this book. And by the way, Dana Bisignani, Women's Center Coordinator at Minnesota State University at Moorhead, where the author was scheduled to read last week, told the Sun, I guess, the Jamestown Sun. It's a really difficult thing to talk about, even for those of us who are adults. I feel this is about white privilege. It can be a loaded topic, or like we are going through a field of landmines, but sometimes I think children are more open to having those discussions. Children should not be discussing white privilege than even adults are. They're curious and eager, but parents want to protect them from difficult, troubling, or violent things in the world. This is a book about making some children feel terrible about being born. Those who are Caucasoids just like me. Here's a little bit of this children's book by this psychotic leftist.
White supremacy is pretend, but the consequences are real. The truth is much simpler.
This is a book about a white child who is seeing the TV over their mom's shoulder, a murder by a police officer of an unarmed person who has their hands up, who has brown skin.
Ah, there we go. Shades of Ferguson. And by the way, that was built, a movement built on the lie.
So we see a child who's curious, who wants answers from the white family members available to them, and
you should feel terrible about being white.
Getting answers is getting a lot of silence.
Skin color makes a difference in how the world sees you, and
I think I'll stick to Where the Wild Things Are or Andrew Henry's Meadow with my child.
And how
Goodnight Moon, The Very Hungry Caterpillar.
You see the world.
People try to hide things from their kids and be like, oh, the world's okay, it's all better. Like, and then like at the start when they're saying,
that's what kids need to talk about.
Made a book that centers the problem of racism in whiteness. I already had.
Let's hear that again. Dear God.
And how you see the world.
People try to hide things from their kids and be like, oh, the world's okay, it's all better. Like, and then like at the start when they're saying, right, yeah.
I made a book that centers the problem of racism in whiteness. I already had created a series.
You are discriminating against children for being born.
It's called Ordinary Terrible Things. And so it fit in.
Nice henna tattoo. Thank you, 1996.
Perfectly, because it was my work. Each book is my emotional and spiritual work that I am doing as a person and as a parent.
Racism is a white person problem.
I made this book because the black women educators at my children's school told me I could do better. It's not enough to not condone racism. It's not enough to be outraged, to understand it intellectually.
What is enough?
What I was told was to focus on whiteness, study whiteness.
Unbelievable. Go away, please. Go away. We don't need our children brainwashed by idiots like you. What should we go before we... yeah. By the way, the latest Halloween costume that is offensive. Online lingerie company Yandy has been called out again. They had the sexy Handmaid's Tale inspired costume. This is a fictional character, but they were offended by it, so they pulled it. Now, sexy Native American and sexy Indian designs are being called highly offensive and racist. Okay, people on Twitter have been slamming the brand for its 43 outfits that fall under the sexy Native American and sexy Indian category, and started a hashtag campaign, hashtag cancel Yandy. Okay. Here's a tweet. Your Handmaid's Tale costume was misguided and kind of funny. Honestly, the Native American costume erases genocide and rape and theft and turns it into some sort of panty party. Disgusting. I'm disgusted by your culturist costume selections, especially your Native American collection. Racism is a bad look. Walk 2 miles in another's moccasins with a sexy Native American costume from Yandy. Sexy costumes, Indian costumes are here and are a great talking point at any party. Oh, boy. Unbelievable. This is the world we live in 2018. Time for me to go. Thank you for watching. Spreely.com. Become a member of Spreely.com. Check me out on Facebook at Rob Carson Show. Check me out on Twitter at Rob Carson. Have a glorious day. God bless, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram. I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show.